Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 169. Nice. And today we're going to be doing battle with Lulu Poppy. And so, Lulu Poppy, this is a deck that popped off about a week ago. The streamer Nick Makes Plays started running around with this and driving up some popularity to it. I kind of let it go for a while, but that is what actually drew us to playing New Deer over the past few videos, and it's something I wanted to kind of stop and talk about for just a moment before we jumped into the actual gameplay. And I think it's kind of an interesting concept with Runeterra. Everyone always talks about how wide open the meta is and how diverse everything is, and while I agree with that to a degree, I don't think it's entirely accurate. I think that what we see a lot of is just playing inferior versions of the best deck. And so the way that I kind of look at this is, say, we're playing a very similar deck to this in Scouts, right? Scouts is probably the best Demacia-based rally deck in the format, but that doesn't stop people from playing Poppy Taric, doesn't stop people from playing Lulu Poppy. In our case with the New Deer, we just took that Demacia shell and added Freylord to it, right? And that's how we came apart to the New Deer deck. And so does that ever leave us in a space to where the cards within the deck are what matters? I should say non-champion cards within the deck are what matters, or if the champions are actually the big piece and the big build-around aspect. And I don't have an entirely good answer to it, right? Because if you want to say, okay, I want to play Pirates, then if you're playing Pirates, why would you ever play Scouts, right? Scouts would just be a worse version of Pirates. It's the worst version of a Misfortune deck. But I think if you want to think about it, you probably have like your decimate based decks, right? So you would have Pirates, and then the worst version of Pirates would be something like Elise Darius, and then I think Scouts would just be a completely different deck. It's just focused on the rallies, but then all of the other rally decks are probably just worse versions of Scouts. And so it's interesting. Like I don't have the answers. This is just kind of like a thought exercise, but I'm curious as to what the real kind of differentiating factors are. Why don't we see stuff like this in Magic, right? In Magic, you'll have, say, like Boros aggro, and then it might branch out into mono red, it might branch out into white weenie, but everything is kind of like really precisely put together to where we just don't see that in Runeterra. And I don't know if that's just a matter of fatigue, right? We've been playing the same Misfortune decks just since the release of the Rising Tides, and people are just wanting to try new things, or if those slight differences do actually make a deck a little bit better in certain scenarios. And why that becomes so interesting to me is playing ladder and playing best of three are completely different beasts, right? Ladder, you're often incentivized to play more aggressive decks, right? If you get more games in faster, then you have more opportunities to gain LP, and you can often overcome worse win rates by just having games that happen faster. And so I'm curious though why we aren't just playing the best deck in the format, Scouts, as opposed to actually playing something like Lulu Poppy, right? It does break off a little bit differently in best of three, since, say, I want to bring Pirates, I can't play Scouts anymore, but you can do stuff like bring the triple rally strategy. We did that this past week. And play something like Scouts, Lulu Poppy, and then New Deer. And so it's interesting. You know, I don't have a positive or negative to say about it. It was just kind of a thought that had been working around in my head over the past week, and that is what is coming to this. Is Lulu Poppy ever better than Scouts? Probably not, but it does still have a place in best of three, and it does have a place on the ladder because people are playing it, and it's something that we do need to kind of need and know about. And so, to speak to the actual deck list itself, this has seen quite a bit of iteration over the past week or so. The core list that Nick Makes Plays with what it was trying to do is take advantage of, well, of course, first and foremost, the big rally package. And so you see this Demacia set that you've seen from us so much over the past week with all of the rallies and the relentless pursuits and the golden Aegisuses, the Bright Steel Protector as well as a nice early game way to protect your challengers, and then the full package of Fleet Feather Tracker along with Petrosite Broadwing. At its core, these are all Petrosite Broadwing rally decks, and then the filler is what kind of tells the rest of the story. And so the way that was always the first kind of piece of this, but the rest of the story that Make Plays was telling was using Bandle City Mayor. And so if you want to look at Bandle City Mayor, take advantage of this multi-region cheapening thing. And then you say, oh shit, Lulu's multi-region, Poppy's multi-region, and now these new weapon masters are all multi-region. So the Wandering Shepherd and then the Combat Cook being the Demacia piece of this. And so that was a nice little innovation, getting a bit of value out of the Mayor multiple ways and him generating units and making the rest of your cards cheaper. But this has been iterated on even further. I feel like this version here really pushes after and takes advantage of this deck's strengths and trying to just build up this big board and then go murder mode with that big board as hard as you can. And so the difference from the more value-oriented version that he was playing is here. We have moved to playing Ranger's Resolve as the only combat trick. Inspired Light is another way to just boost our board. What you tend to run into with decks like this is you get a full 6 units on the board, and you have like 3 cards in your hand, and you're like, oh, cool, if I want to play a unit, I just have to overwrite another one. Inspired Light comes in and makes up for that. And then now that we aren't really playing combat tricks anymore, it opens up the world for Stony Suppressors. And so this version is a little bit more tuned to be ready for the Vile Feastness of this format. There's a ton of Vile Feast and Quietus and Hate Spike running around. And if you don't get the full kills with the Stony Suppressor, you don't say, cool, I played Stony Suppressor, you just lose the game now. But if you can make your opponent spend an extra 2, 3, 4 mana, it often gives you the opportunity to build up your board and punch past due to that lost tempo that they're going to have. And so, to kind of wrap it all up, we're playing this early game challengers package. We want to build up a full board. We want to get maximum advantage out of that full board with the likes of Poppy, Inspired Light, and Yordle Smith. And then we're going to close out the game with Rallies. And so that's it. Let's go ahead, get ourselves into battle. I checked in on the pay-to-win price, and we are fully premium today. We could take another peek at it. Everything is all premium so much. Look at this. Prismatics everywhere. So good. Look at that. Lulu Prismatic, Poppy Prismatic, Relentless Pursuit Prismatic. Looking good, feeling good, ready for battle. So yeah, it's good stuff here. I like the innovations. I'm not entirely certain how I feel about a lot of the deck naming and everything in this format, because it's tough, right? I think a deck like Lulu Poppy, like we have here, certainly a little bit more aggressive than the New Deer decks we were playing in the previous day, and then it's a little bit more all-in-y than Scouts, right? Scouts is more aggressive than New Deer. It can have draws that are more aggressive than what this deck does, but it's kind of interesting, the balance when you're playing the same like 30 cards, and then how much the champions can really come in and change things, and how that last little bit of gameplay turns out. All right, but back into this one, I'm fine to just go onto this Stony Suppressor plan. We were getting a bit of a shutdown early. Man, I said you play the Stony Suppressor and it just doesn't outright win the games, but fucking A. Maybe it does sometimes. LOL. You mad, bro? I feel like bro just got a little mad, a little salty coming out of... All right. On to the next one. And so this deck, it is a nice throwback. I think in the first seasonals we played in, it would have been like 3 seasonals ago or so, we played the Stony Suppressor Scouts in it. I was a really big fan of the Stony Suppressor then. There was a lot of Ezreal with, what's her name? Caitlyn running around. And that was a deck that you could actually get a pretty good shutdown on in terms of playing the Stony Suppressor, and then if they didn't have like a Thermogenic Beam to take it down, then they would have to spend like 2 cards and 5 mana to take the Stony Suppressors out, and it was a really powerful addition to the deck. But it kind of fell out of favor after that. The slower decks of the format got a little bit different, and just wasn't quite the same anymore. All right, this is fine. I was really hoping to have our units survive and then get the Yordle Smith plus the Inspired Light happening now. That's not going to happen now. So let's at least drop Bandle City Mayor, see if we can't find a cheaper play to get on the board. Not really happy about these. We're just going to have to build up to a big rally attack. At least opponent isn't coming at us hard with a Camaveran Soldiers type start. But here, I'm leaning towards just going ahead and taking the Wandering Shepherd. We'll try and get it down next turn and see if we can't get some more Bandle City Mayors happening. Well, we willed it into existence. The Camaveran Soldier is here now. We're just going to have to get some real big boy plays with these rallies. So I'm going to look to make it around to our next attack, get maximum value out of this Inspired Light, and then start punching in with rallies. Alright, just take the Combat Cook here. It's the most efficient one we have access to. Oh, cool, he doesn't attack with Viego. I'm on board with that. It's a little challenging to just go for the stats against a deck like Viego. They tend to drop a lot of width. Interesting seeing, why would you just making space on his own board? Oh, he wants to get the Viego lift as well. Okay, that's fine. So, all right, the time has come to where we have to start doing something. I want to spend the 6 mana this turn on a rally. Well, maybe we can make it without a rally this turn. If we double unit and then do a relentless or do a Inspired Light, maybe that's okay. Let's see how this comes in. We do have this like 1 mana Wandering Shepherd, and so we may actually find ourselves getting a good rally this round. Gonna take the Shepherd's Authority on this one since it's on our challenger. Now it has the opportunity to attack up a little bit. Still not like excited about this board. We do have the potential to try and take down Viego. Well, that potential's gone now, but we had some real opportunity there. All right, we're still going to attack as big as we can. You're not quite doing it for us, Bird. You're just going to come down and trade with one of these rando 3/3s. At least with this way, the only real potential good block he has is with Viego. So we're getting a big shutdown on his board now. Hopefully with the rallies next turn, we'll be able to pop off. I don't know about you, but I like popping off. Alright, what do we got for the Bandle City Mayor? Upcycled Rake is pretty reasonable. If we're going to be... does it ever get a good attack, though? I don't think so. Like, we can make the barrier attack, right? But it doesn't seem like it's going to be special. I want all of my attacks to be special. Alright, so this is going to be slightly problematic. This Viego is most certainly going to flip. The question now is going to be, do we want to get these ephemerals into combat right now? or do we want to wait until the next turn? And I think we can just pass, right? He's going to lose 2 ephemerals, gain 1 of our units. I think that's better than just losing 2 of our units to his ephemerals. So let's see if he actually brings any combat in. Nope, he just takes the flip. That's fine. And does that steal our strongest unit? Which could be quite relevant if it's going to steal our Duran Sculptor that can't block. Oh, the equipment falls off. Interesting, interesting. I haven't seen that interaction before. Now, do we need to get clever with this Poppy? We can boost her with the Shepherd's Authority. She probably just died of Viego in her first combat, but I think we need to actually get the Yordle Smith going. Can boost 1, 2, 3 of our units.
Quest will be over quicker and you can fry a ferret.
See what happens. It's not good. You never want to be facing down this flip to Viego, but we got some opportunity here. Our opportunities are falling away. He's just gotten too big. All right, GG. Just a little bit too much there in the early game. We couldn't quite get any of his units off the board with that Durandi Sculptor start. If we'd had a Poppy or a Lulu early, we could have dealt with it, or if our Broadwing didn't get smoked, we could have dealt with it, but it's just a... you can have reasonable games against Viego where you're not being super aggressive in the early game, but you have to have the build up to make their units not good, and we just had to sit around for way too long that game. But on to the next battle, up against Victor Karma. As we were talking about earlier, of all the decks that you could be playing, and the best iteration of them all and everything, I can assure you no deck's best iteration in the current format involves playing Karma. I can assure you. We'll probably start to lose these games as we talk trash about Karma, but it's just not a good card.
What could you ever teach me?
But we do have this Challenger into Lulu start, with a little bit of protection with Ranger's Resolve. See how it turns out. I haven't started complaining about Hexite Crystal yet, but give me some time, you know. Just need a little bit of time. Okay. Let's use all the colors. So, nice little board advantage. He needs to answer this Lulu quickly. Yep.
I sculpt what others only dream of.
Sure.
Hey, over here!
Not the time for value.
Little reinforcement at the seams.
I did the mathematics. I counted it up in my head. I asked myself mathematically, is this the time for value? Came back a no. It is not. So we'll get a giant board here, right? We'll put the Brightsteel Protector onto the Broadwing. We'll follow up Inspired Light. That should be enough to end the game. We won't get a lethal this turn, but the game should essentially be over as we come in with a rally on the next attack. Give me these 10 stats for 2 mana. That's a pretty good deal, right? It's not the worst deal. Hey there. What up, Victor? You about to get fucked. GG. Nice try, Karma deck. But no, see, it's like it's tough, like to kind of come back to that thought from the initial part of the video as to where, like, I try to like cluster the decks together in terms of when we're trying to put together a seasonals lineup, and you try to gauge how much of the format is actually composed of these specific decks, and then if you want to consider, say, like pirates and the Elise decks, and to a lesser degree, like Annie Jin as being the same deck, then you could kind of get a better sense of what the meta actually looked like. And it's tough to lump like pirates in with those decks now because the stupid tentacle cards make it so resilient. But it's tough in that you're like trying to make sense of the meta. The highest play rate deck is like 8%, and then you have, say, like 5 and 6 different Victor decks. And so is it like, it's just interesting to me as to why, say, the best Victor deck is Victor Lee Sin. Why do people play Victor Karma? Why do you play Victor Aphelios? Why do you play this? Why do you play that? When they're clearly inferior to the best deck. And I'm curious if that's just, again, like a matter of fatigue or wanting to play with new cards, or what the deal is. But it's not something you really see in the other games, I don't think. All right, though. Off against Evelyn. Let's see how it goes. Reasonable enough start. It's not as aggressive as I would like it to be, but the Stony Suppressor has a lot of power here, and then being able to Wandering Shepherd the Stony Suppressor gives us a real unit fairly fast. And so I think I'm okay to stick with this, especially in the face of Evelyn and a lot of her early game power coming from stuff like Hate Spikes and Vile Feasts, and getting a shutdown on that, hopefully. Okay. We'll be able to manage this reasonably. We have the 3/3 to drop next, 3/3 to drop in the Shepherd. Lets us start combating with Salter and the like. And of course, we did just pick up Poppy. Gotta watch ourselves though. Picked up an elusive. Little scary, not big scary, just little scary. Now, Poppy does not feel spectacular here, but it's like, we're only going to get one card down on the turn. Maybe we are okay with it being Poppy. It's like, I'd prefer to play Poppy on our opponent's turn and then just protect her with the Bright Steel. But if we're going to play Bandle City Mayor, there's not a ton of cards that he can search up to where opponent hitting on Evelyn here is quite strong. I think we just need to go ahead and bring our good combaters before the Evelyn comes down, and then on our next attack token, we'll look to make something happen with Poppy. Hey, look, guys, it's an Evelyn. Not messing with that.
See what's beneath while I see what's inside.
Elusive is fine. We'd probably never be able to block her anyways. It's better than Challenger, and it's better than Challenger and better than Lifesteal. That was a dope hit right there. What up, Ionian Hookmaster? Good timing.
I want more.
Here's the Challenger. Oh, that's the one I was worried about. So how bad is this if we pass the turn and he doesn't attack? Like, there is a realistic world with him opening with the Glimpse from Beyonds like that he just doesn't have a play. And so I'm kind of leaning towards just dropping the Bright Steel to make sure that we have a unit. I want to protect the Bandle City Mayor because we have to be able to play Poppy for 3 mana this turn. And so I just don't want things going wrong with the Mayor. Looks like he just didn't have a play. That's we'll save the emotes for later. That's not that's not ideal. I'll give you that. All right, well, here comes the squad. Should be pretty tough for him to come down and interact with this, and then we're going to have a follow-up rally. So what's he going to have? Is he going to have 3 or 4 units? He's got 4? Okay. So we can't play hate spikes. Yeah, this game's just done. GG. Market a W for Poppy. Not surprised, though. That was a very weak glimpse from beyond turn. That turn where we dropped Poppy. Not a lot happening for opponent there. You can't be like, cool, I want to be playing against this aggro deck and spend my 5th turn of the game just drawing 2 cards and passing. It's not ideal. Right. Good stuff. How are y'all's fantasy football seasons going? Now that the Monday night game is wrapped up for you, did you win your game? Fucking sucks. I got one league. I have a league that I thought that everything was going to go well in. It's the casual league with all the friends and family in it. Just O2'd real hard right from the start. Real good O2 start in it. And then my more competitive league with the dumb scoring, if you've heard me talk about that one, doing all right there. I did manage to sit Tom Brady this week. I got real scared right at 11 a.m. And said, no Tom Brady, we're going with Matt Stafford. Paid off big. Tom Brady put up like 11 points. And so, felt good about that. Alrighty, let's see how this goes. I'm not like the hugest fan of playing against these Shadow Isles decks and then leading out with 1 health units. I found that I typically prefer to just stall a little bit and not have them get smoked by Vile Feast. But when we're sitting on so many trackers and we have the curve of Lulu into a bird, I think it's safe enough to just go for it. All right. You get a couple of portals in your deck. Hope you make the most of it. Here's the first one. So, is there a world where we ever want to Inspired Light on this turn? On our turn right now? That's interesting. And then, are we okay with losing Lulu? I guess that's another question to bring forth. Because this just kind of like reeks of either a hate spike or a combat trick in hand. And I'm not really amped about it. But the thing with our board here is we can't quickly just get 3 more units down. And so I kind of want to get into a little bit of combat here. Maybe we just risk the hate spikes. But if we lose Lulu, then we can't take down the prey. We are going to Inspired Light next turn, but let's just accept that he's going to have a really hard time killing us once we clear out his board. And it doesn't feel as bad to just take this 6 damage or whatever it is. Okay. Let's get into combat. All right, so there's how it starts. We want to get a 3-power unit in front of our Broadwing. That gets to be you. Let's see the combats we can win. That's you and you. And then let's put the maximum protection in front of our Lulu. So this should actually be down like this. Protect our Broadwing just a little bit more. Okay. Feels like we're just gonna get smoked after this. Sure, he has a pokey stick. We're counting on this Stony Suppressor to do a lot of work. Okay, and then I'm not gonna play Bird. If we want to, well, that's fine. I think we might end up trading something away. It's like I want to be able to play pretty much whatever we draw this turn without overwriting any of our units. And so say we drew Poppy. I would much rather be able to play Poppy than overwrite a unit here. And so I think this still works out okay. This Relentless Pursuit gonna be pretty good. So we're one short of lethal. But we should get to kill his board. Sure. Tell you now, 3 mana Glimpse from Beyond does not feel good. Can't block unit doesn't feel good either. All right, I think we're okay. Are we okay? Got him. All right. Well, we're at least winning half of our games today. Go us. Go team. Go squad. And the thing that makes me really happy is these decks tend to be very Poppy-centric. I kind of realized a lot of this playing Poppy Taric when you're running into matchups like the Nora deck. You can get like a lot of board advantage with Tarics, but you can't actually do enough to win the game. It's just that kind of classic spot to where you're clearing out their board and then they immediately refill. But with Poppy, you were able to do it. Like the unit growth was just exceptionally important. And so it was one of those things to where I used to play Poppy Taric and then look to just mulligan away all the expensive cards. So all the Poppies, all the Tarics, all the Relentless Pursuits. And then I just kind of got to the point to where the feeling felt like you had to keep the Poppies. Okay. Is this the same guy? Or is everybody just playing Victor Karma today? They're saying, guys, I had such a good weekend. I played chess by myself the whole time. It was so fun. Chess by myself all weekend. Sure. Got us with the 2-for-1. All right, let's come in with Lulu. If he has a Get Excited right now, or if he has a Thermogenic Beam right now, I want to be able to go into the next turn and potentially play Fleet Feather Tracker plus Lulu. I think that's going to be better than going for Yordle Smith. Right? We could go Yordle Smith and Petricite Broadwing and still get a big challenge that way. But here, Lulu is just much more high-powered. It's like if he plays Victor, then we still have the opportunity to take down Victor, where we don't with the Broadwing plan.
Looks like I'm ready. Bye-bye.
All right, so we're just... Well, we don't necessarily have to get hit by the Fey Folk this turn, but I don't really feel super comfortable blocking it. But maybe that's okay, right? We're gonna have to face the combat trick at some point. And so, if it comes now, let's just go ahead and deal with it. The idea being, I can't have a tasty Fey Folk just sitting around on the board for like 3 and 4 turns. And so, let's go ahead and hit it now, see if we can't soak up the combat trick, and then we can try and hit it again on this turn with a quick attack challenge coming out of the Broadwing. I think that makes sense. Uh-oh. Oh, you just get a guy out of this? The guy just turns up? Okay. Alright. Here comes the lethal. He's got to deny? Fuck. Okay. Alright, I guess we gotta wait around. That deny was on the cheap, too. The back alley bar making it cost one less. Combo City.
I'll show you. Join the glorious evolution.
So we're probably still short of lethal on this next attack. Again, this is one of those spots to where Poppy, outright wins you the game, but doing this stuff with Lulu does not. Still think we're in a really strong spot. Like, he's got a few turns to go before the flipped karma, or the level 10 karma, or whatever we call it, can come down. But
Let's use all the colors.
Looking for an anvil.
this is 11.
Swing harder.
It's too late for you.
Is it? Oh, I counted the 4, the 4, and the 3. I was like, that should have been enough. He's just going to block this guy down on the end. Not today. Okay.
With utmost efficiency. Another brilliant design.
All right, so we'll add in Bird. I'm going to wait a turn, Let's see if we can't put a bonus onto Lulu. If we need to overwrite Bird for a big open attack next turn, that's fine. We just have to win the game on our next attack. And so if this deck gets to hit with 10 mana and stuff, you're just never winning. So we'll see what we can do.
Well, this isn't the blade.
Right? We've sort of outgrown the scariness of the Hexite Crystal. Right, he's doing stuff. Doing more stuff. See how much heal we have to run into next turn. Lots of angles. There's the Karma. Probably dead. The Hexite Crystal's gonna hit for double, right? We didn't quite get our Lulu big enough, fast enough. This looks like the worst attack of 2022. Don't do this ever. Don't. There's a concept we talk about quite a bit in terms of these combats and asking yourself if you can get wider than your opponent. In what situation is opponent going to be able to get wider than us here? Just never. And so I guess there's some merit in gaining that health before the attack happens, but wouldn't you rather just block with that unit and then
Looking for an anvil.
like just block the unit, and then from that point you can
One part sandalwood and one part pit.
prevent even more damage. But here, this one's done. He picked up the crystal with Karma, so he's going to AoE our board for 4, and we'll have to call it a day from here. But still, you can learn your lessons everywhere. GG.
Oh, maybe I should open my eyes.
All right, battle number 7. coming at you. I wonder how often we win that game on the odd attack tokens. When you get to make that last attack and your opponent hasn't gotten to put the karma on board. Interesting. I still feel like we shouldn't be losing too frequently to a deck that plays a 6-mana do-nothing landmark, but, you know, no deck has a 100% win rate. Right, onto the Viego Evelyn again. Boom, it's Bird. Ready for battle. Who'd we hit? The Bandle City Mayor? Okay. So how do we want to get going with this? Sultur, kind of ignorable. I think probably just have to go with the Sculptor. Are we okay with the Sculptor getting hit by a hate spike right now? I think it's fine. We can still follow up with the Shepherd onto the Bird and have a reasonably attacky board. Yes, we drew Lulu, but she feels a little bit slow here. Kind of like this Pana Pain. But the quick attack's going to be safer. I would like to imagine that if he attacked on the previous turn, or on the previous turn if he had the hate spike, that the Durandi Sculptor is a good enough target to just come in and take it down. And these are the spots as to where I'm curious if we shouldn't have put that damage in early. Taken Sultur down to a 1. And then he did have hate spike. Interesting. Now we would be able to kill Sultur in this combat. He does have access to the Vile Feasts, and it feels like it's a little bit more profitable just to put the damage on with our early play as opposed to letting Dum Dum here hang out. All right, but we need to get the Mayor down, not only due to his size, but want to be able to potentially play a free unit here, or if it comes to next turn, we can at least play Lulu a little bit cheaper. Found one.
Okay.
Then do we have to open here? We found ourselves in this spot before. I think it's okay to attack with Evelyn on the underside. Man, but this attack just does it does no damage if we. I think we're just kind of in a spot to where if he has Viego, we've just lost the game anyways, and so I'm just going to take this forward as though he doesn't have it. I'm okay to trade Lulu into Evelyn as long as our other units get a lot of work done. And so let's go ahead and add her to the board. And then again, if he's got Viego, we're just going to be dead. Yeah. Okay. GG. But I think the learning moment in that one was that first turn. I think we should have attacked with the Bird. And if he blocks with Sultur, that's great. If he has a following turn to where he says, like, blocks with Sultur and then uses the Vile Feast to take down a smaller unit, I think that's okay. We can't just have that dipshit sitting on the board until the 5th and the 6th turn of the game. It does way too much work at that point. And so I think we just have to send it straight to the face and get those extra damages in. It's crazy the difference between the games where you draw Broadwing and you don't. Like it's like the strength is kind of invisible. It's like you're super strong, but it just doesn't appear as though it's just murdering the board. And then there's the games where you draw Poppy, and then those games it is just clear that she's absolutely going murder mode on the board. But it's kind of interesting. But here I'm going to lead with Bird. This is again like another one of these spots to where there is an argument to just not play a unit. This is the Powder Pandemonium deck. They play a bunch of Make It Rains. They play Parlays. Sometimes. Parlay's the one that deals 1 damage, and you get to deal a damage to face if it hits. And so we just, kind of come out and lose to the value cards here. I assume he's going to follow up with the 1/1 Plunder unit, but we can shut it down with the Broadwing. So it's fairly tempting to just go ahead and take the damage from him as well, since we would get to take this quick attack challenge on the following turn.
More than one way to pick a pine cone. I'll show you.
Seems good, right? All right. Pick that pine cone, bro. In case you didn't know, there's more than one way to pick a pine cone. Yordle Smith dropping the knowledge bombs on us. All right, Ranger's Resolve was a nice addition. We'll see how much mana he spends here. Oh, he's got a bad hand. All right, here's the place where we can stop. Not running. Maybe it's not that bad. He has to have like a second Make It Rain to really be scared of what's happening. All right, roll the dice. He's got it. He hit 1 bird. Okay, that's okay. Pew, 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 pew. No attacks? I would have taken it. I mean, I think we got to be pretty safe to just add another unit to the board. Like, what? Well, what would be the one that would be scary, right? Twisted Fate? And we can deal with Twisted Fate with the Ranger's Resolve. I think, like, his opportunities to add units now are so fucking bad. Just because we have so many quick attack challenges across the board. Emote. Emote. All right, not bad. See if he's got more Twisted Fates. Try and close this board down. What up, Poppy? We're glad you came to party. Got him. GG. Market a W for bust. And so, not a bad set of games. Not a bad set of games. I'm not, again, like not entirely certain where I stand on this. It's that same kind of deal, right? As to where if we're going to compare this to all of the other Demacia-based rally decks, we have to compare it to Scouts. I don't think it's better than Scouts. You have to compare it to Poppy Tarek. The games that we ran into problems here, you don't see as frequently with Poppy Tarek, and that being we didn't draw Poppy, how do we win the game? This does have some opportunities to still go big, right? It could still build up on boards and take stuff down. I'm curious if the answer here isn't playing Vanguard Sergeant as opposed to playing Inspired Light, because these games to where you don't draw Poppy are incredibly challenging, right? The game against Mo playing Evelyn, he just kind of stumbled pretty hard, and so it's like in games like that, like if you don't draw Poppy, it's really challenging to deal with those big and growing boards, and so in the Tarek version, you have some opportunities to work around that, right? You can still go big with Tarek, you can go big with the equipment. But here, you're kind of stuck, and you're kind of counting on equipment to make your units big, and that feels kind of sketchy. And then I, of course, wanted to compare this to Nudir and the addition of playing things like Udyr and Gnar, and those decks they were kind of fine in that term. It was a little bit more challenging to get rolling, but it was certainly less powerful than Poppy, but it was kind of a different mid-rangey aspect. It's good going tall as opposed to being good going wide, and so it could kind of hit from two angles to where you could get a full board width and have a good board, but you could also make one gigantic Udyr and have some power going that way. And so, it's kind of like I still don't have a ton of experience with this particular deck. It feels like it wants Cythria, and I'm not. It just feels like the Bandle City Mayor is good. The Wandering Shepherd probably is not. And so I think if I was going to look to play this a little bit more, I would probably consider cutting the Wandering Shepherds for Cythrias just to get that other option for a lot of really high-powered late-game punch, especially for the games to where you don't drop Poppy. So it was good, though. Good set of games. I had fun. Hope you had fun with it, too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. I hope you learned to rally with the best of them. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.